ይሄ ሴት ቆሎ እየሸጡ አስተምረው ዛሬ ስራ እያጣ ወጣቱ ለአረብ አሽከር እየሄደ እንደ ብር
Mothers go through a lot just to send their children to school. But when our children are grown, they can't find work. Most of our youth have been forced to migrate to make a living. They leave their homes and their country through whatever means they can find in search of jobs to improve their lives and the lives of their parents. Many have faced horrible fates because of this.
ከመንግስት አኳያ መደረግ ያለበት ምንድነው?
Idleness obviously opens up evil doors, and idle minds resort to engaging in criminal activities. What should be the role of the government then?
So, what do young people do when they have no jobs? They become drunks, addicts, thieves, and criminals. That's it.
Such concerns have been reflected by many in a number of public meetings. In fact, unemployment and its socio-economic implications had become major themes for such gatherings. And in response, the government of Ethiopia launched in 2005 the National Micro and Small-Scale Enterprise Development Program. The program had been designed with the primary objective of creating 1.5 million new jobs in Ethiopian cities within 5 years. And out of the total beneficiaries, at least 50% were to be women. The program was designed with a complete enterprise development packages in 6 sectors, including a government support package, access to capital, skill and business development trainings, machinery, operating space, and creating market linkages are some of the support services that these enterprises receive from the government through the program. As a result, many who themselves had been unemployed have become employers. A few who had started small have become millionaires. This enterprise specializes in producing cultural dresses which are still being produced in a very traditional way. One member tells us about a training he had received.
We then managed to modify the mechanics to fit our needs, and now are producing different types of garment more efficiently.
These were a few of the program stars on the make. But there are a number of more successful enterprises that have graduated to provide limited companies and medium-scale industries through this program. But this film is not about them. This documentary celebrates the hopes and commitments of 2 growing construction enterprises with visionary leaders. In the beginning, they were 12. 12 school friends initiated a journey into a business they knew little about, with dreams of making it big. Misguided by those who did not believe, 2 dropped out before they could get far. They started out with 1,000 birr, which they had borrowed from their families, and they now own 2 million birr worth of capital. They had to borrow picks and shovels to start this journey. Today, they are proud owners of relatively sophisticated machinery. They had to lay down stones to sit on for meetings. Today, they have a relatively spacious furnished office to receive clients. They could only afford to rent pack animals to transport their products. Today, they are proud owners of 2 dump trucks. It was in 2005 that Yeholashet and his friends established their enterprise under the Micro and Small Scale Enterprise Development Program. They were all graduates of Technical and Vocational Training College in the capital, Addis Ababa. As soon as they had acquired the license, they won a government bid for the construction of a workshed and sales shop for another enterprise. They were to receive 5,000 birr from this job. But how were they going to deliver with a mere 1,000 that they each had contributed 100 birr too. They had to carefully decide on what to spend, either buy overalls or basic tools, because the money is not enough to buy both, a major dilemma. But they finally settled on borrowing the tools from their friends and families and on working in their everyday clothes. They decided to only buy items that they couldn't get otherwise and which were absolutely necessary to do the job. The first payment they received was then spent on things which could facilitate the successful undertaking of subsequent job.
ልክ ማህበራችን 5000 ብር ስራ ሰርቶ ያገኛትን ብር ማለት ነው 5000
I remember we spent some of the money from our first job on overalls, picks and shovels, and on a tape player. We figured the music will be our major energizer, music and our dreams.
Their second job was worth 44,000 birr. The same government office gave them the contract without any hesitation because they had proven their reliability in the quality of the work they had done on their first assignment.
We built 4 sheds and a public toilet for 44,000 birr. We decided to reinvest 70% of it and only divided up the rest among ourselves.
But everything was not as easy as it sounds. They had to overcome a number of challenges to be where they are now. One member speaks of one such predicament they faced in earlier times.
One day, as we were filling cement and sand mix for a foundation of a public toilet, the rain started pouring down. It wasn't something we could leave until it stopped raining. It took us the better of the day to finish, but we did it, drenched to the skin.
They say hard work is rewarded sooner or later. Their entire struggle finally started to pay off, especially once they were linked with the National Public Housing Development Program. The Addis Ababa city government was also building low-cost condominiums and in the process was involving micro and small-scale enterprises as part of its employment creation and building the capacity of the construction industry schemes. This provided a good opportunity to Yeholashet and his friends. They were advised that the construction of hollow concrete blocks and precast beams for the public housing program would be a fruitful venture. Then they applied for and received a loan for 172,000 birr from the city government's microfinance institution, which had reoriented its credit policy to specially support these enterprises. They received skill development training. They were then provided with serviced land for their operation.
In addition to creating access to the loan without stiff collateral requirements, they gave us technical training and fully serviced land for free. Who can ask for more?
After being involved in the public housing project in one sub-city, their capital rapidly rose to 300,000 birr, and their growing business required that they hire additional 40 permanent employees and 20 daily laborers. Seleshi is one such employee and talks about how his life has changed for the better since he started working for Yeholashet and his friends. He says, being employed has given me the opportunity to move out and become independent. He also talks about being inspired by the young men he works for. Another employee is Helen. She also speaks about being independent and being able to pay for her own schooling since starting to work here. Yeshi Negus, on the other hand, has got dual responsibility in the enterprise. During the day, he earns 19 birr as a daily laborer, but at night, he is a guard with a monthly salary of 300 birr. The enterprise has gained the reputation of being one of the most productive and reliable in the field. but maintaining this reputation and the growing business with the use of pack animals or unreliable rented transport service become impossible. Yeholashet and his friends therefore bought a used pick-up truck, which they also derived income from by providing transport service to others like them. Then another golden opportunity presented itself. They were informed that the government is going to import around 1,000 dump trucks and allocate them tax-free among operators on credit. This was to strengthen the growing construction industry. They knew that contractors and reliable and better performing micro and small-scale enterprises linked with the government's public housing program were to benefit from this one-time deal. So they submitted their applications to the Ministry of Works and Urban Development.
ጋዜጣው ላይ በስተመጨረሻ ላይ ምን ይላል?
However, when announcements appeared on the newspaper, we were not among the lucky ones listed to benefit from this scheme. Nonetheless, there were the notice at the bottom of the newspaper with addresses and procedures to voice complaints. So we did. We managed to present our case, and when the second round announcements were posted, we found out we were to be given 2 trucks. What a day! Everybody could hear our screams.
There were times, especially at the beginning, when their families and friends doubted them. This was because they were saving and reinvesting 70% of their income, which didn't give them much to spend on making any visible improvements in their lives. Yeholashet's sister talks about one morning when she had followed her brother to see for herself if he was really working. After the second year, they decided it was to share their dreams and achievements with their loved ones. For this, they organized an event, and they made their families instant converts, and to this day, their number 1 supporters.
እግዚአብሔር የተመሰገነ ይሁን። ሁላቸውም ካንድ ላይ በአንድ ትምህርት ቤት ነበር የሚማሩት በአንድ ትምህርት ቤት ተምረው
In the first place, I thank God for giving us this opportunity, and I don't have enough words to express my gratitude to our government. We really appreciate what it's doing for our sons. They all went to school together, and they are practically brothers, and we are very proud of them. They have been struggling, but now they are coming up on top.
Their enterprise is celebrated as one of the most hard-working. They would work day and night to deliver on their contracts. They do the heavy lifting themselves rather than wait for a machine. They don't even go out on lunch breaks. Their lunch is prepared and served on the premises. This way, they get to save time and their money.
ትናንትና ስናስበው የነበረው አስተሳሰባችን ዛሬ ላይ እውን ሆኖ ስለምንመለከተው
We have made our dreams come true, and we were confident that, with hard work, we shall attain all the goals we have set out for ourselves. I can guarantee you that within a few years, we will be a successful company with a sizable sphere of influence and share of capital in the real estate business.
When the capital of such enterprises receiving government support under the Micro and Small-Scale Enterprise Development Program exceed $500,000 birr, it means that the enterprise have reached a stage where they can now graduate and start to operate in a more competitive market. This is something Yeholashet and his friends are aware of. They have been ready to move on the next level for some time now. And this will mean that the government will terminate the special support it provides this kind of enterprises. However, it shall continue to organize others into enterprises, provide various support services until it's time for them to graduate and move on as well. And this cycle will continue until unemployment has significantly decreased and until a credible private sector has developed. Another enterprise that we will take a quick glimpse of is Dalol. Dalol General Construction Enterprise was established in 2007 in the capital through the Micro and Smaller Scale Enterprise Development Program. 11 young men and women living in the same neighborhood organized and established Dalol with an initial capital of 5,000 birr. The members started the business convinced that with hard work anything is possible. Within 9 months, the enterprise's capital had grown to 300,000 birr. Aside from the initial amount they each brought into this venture, and this small shed they called office, which also served as a storeroom and sometimes as workshop, their major asset was this toolbox. Most of the personal tools they each used in their previous trade, and some of the initial capital of the enterprise had gone into this toolbox, which they proudly carry to wherever they have a job. A permanent address or an office is one of the requirements to enterprises to be able to acquire a business license and the various support services provided by the government. This office has served such purpose for Dalol and many other enterprises. In addition to lending the use of its office, Dalol also provides business advice to similar but younger establishments and has guided a number of such kinds of enterprises, especially through the initial phases. Some of the enterprises they had helped to organize and stand on their own 2 feet have acknowledged their contribution by giving them certificates to this effect. Unlike Yehoalashet and his friends, members of Dalol did not go to school together, nor are they college graduates. They were young men and young women who had worked for different employers as apprentices or full-time masons, carpenter or welders. Out of the 11 determined young who formed the enterprise, 2 are young women. Abeba, the vice chairman of Dalol, speaks of the team spirit and the special rapport of members.
We love what we do and we love each other. No task is considered as an individual assignment. Everybody helps out as best as they can. Our work is very fun.
Their first contract was to do a renovation work on the restrooms of a high school. Their second job was building staircases for a public housing project at one of the sites in the capital. A number of low-cost apartment buildings were being constructed as part of the National Integrated Housing Development Program, one of the support services provided by the government to these enterprises under the Micro and Small Scale Development Program in the creation of market linkages. Such enterprises as Dalol are given priority in terms of providing construction material inputs or subcontracting building installation works in public housing projects being implemented by the government. Wandante is the one who instigated that they come together, or from Dalol General Construction. He had worked for a private contractor for a number of years, but had been earning very little to make any significant improvement in his life. He talks about how it all started.
3 days after we had formed our enterprise, we saw a bid notice for a construction work on a newspaper. We only had the 5,000 birr in our hands and the rudimentary tools we each had brought in. So we went straight to Addis Credit and Savings Bank, a microfinance institution of the city government, and applied for a loan. 3 days after submitting our application, they gave us the loan. And that's how we got started.
Today,